Hello and good morning to all. Welcome to your computer class. Well, today we are starting our third chapter of our syllabus, that is cyber ethics. And in this video, we have to discuss about the introduction of this topic, cyber ethics. Now let's begin. Today we are discussing this chapter from our book. We live in a world at a time which is often called information age, where information is freely available from any part of the world. Well, the internet has revolutionized the world and people are getting used to having access to whatever information they want anytime, anywhere and from a wider and wider range of computing devices. All this made available to us an abundance of information, but with it comes responsibility of using this information and technologies ethically. In this chapter, we have to discuss about the cyber ethics. In general, these cyber ethics are the rules or moral principles that we have to follow whenever we are using internet or whenever we are using the computing. Fine. Generally, when we talk about the internet or computers, the first thing which strikes our mind is data sharing. Well, in this process of data sharing, we have to use various applications, we can use various websites and so many other things. Along with this data sharing, it is also important to maintain the security of that data which we are sharing or which we are using. And for maintaining the proper security of data, we have to use some tools, some methods and some principles to protect ourselves from any cyber fraud. And for that, we have to follow the cyber ethics, or simply we can say them or we can call them as ethics of computers. Well, before starting this topic, I just want to tell you one thing. This term cyber ethic that we are learning just now, it is made up of two words. The first one is cyber and the second one is ethics. The term cyber means something where we are connecting ourselves by using the internet and computers. And ethics means some moral principles or code of conduct or rules of using something. So it means cyber ethics are the rules that we have to follow whenever we are using internet. Fine. Now for now we have to discuss about cyber ethics for e-commerce only. Let's begin. E-commerce refers to occurrence of commercial activities online or electronically. So you can say that e-commerce is the buying or selling of goods and services over electronic network like internet and making payments or transfer funds over electronic networks like internet. Fine. So just now we are discussing about this term e-commerce. E-commerce means buying or selling of goods or selling of services by using some online methods or technologies where we are using internet. Fine. We are not only sharing these services or goods, but we are also transferring our funds or we are making payments by using these electronic means only. Fine. While buying or selling of goods or services over internet, each stakeholder must stick to ethical conduct to ensure that no one is cheated or fooled in any form. Fine. Well, in this e-commerce or in this internet, we have so many fake websites, we have so many fake pages which can easily harm us or they can easily steal our data. Fine. That's why using these e-commercial activities on internet is a very difficult thing sometimes. So whenever we are using all these technologies and things, we have to be very specific about our data. Fine, because there is a possibility that anyone can cheat you or you can be fooled. So for that we have to stick to some moral principles so that we can save ourselves and so that we can not perform this thing with others also. Now let's talk about ethics related to e-commerce. The first ethic or the principle that we have to discuss is privacy. Generally, privacy means the protection of personal information given online. Fine. It means it is all about saving or protecting yourself or your information that you have shared online. Fine. Now in the case of e-commerce, this information will be your bank details, your card details, your OTPs and PIN numbers. Ethically, both the buyers and sellers must provide the correct information to each other. If in case you want to perform a proper e-commerce activity, then you must have to first validate yourself, and for that you must have to give your correct information. An e-commerce company must clear state how it intends to use the customer's data collected this way, or whether the customer can restrict the use of personal information. Fine. If in case you are working with any e-commerce website which is not giving you any surety of your data security, then we don't have to use it. We have to focus on our security of data, so we must have to see that whether that company is providing us data security or not. And if they are misusing our data, then we don't have to use that particular website. An important factor of privacy is the customer consent. Whether the customer is given a choice to decide what the information can and cannot be used for. Well, you might have seen that sometimes when we log into a particular website, that website generally asks for our information, and along with that they also have a button to select where they ask that whether we want to share that information or not. If we are clicking on that, it means we are giving a permission to that website to use our information. But if we are not clicking on that, it means we are not allowing that website to use our information without our permission. Fine. So if you are able to see such a button in a website, then it's good for your data security. Whereas if you are not able to find any such button in a website, it means it's a possibility that that website can misuse your data, or that data can also be against you. Usually, when the proper security systems are placed in, the user will not mind sharing the information necessary for transaction to take place. Fine. Generally, you have find that whenever we are working with any authentic website or any trusted website, we have no problem in sharing our credentials or our card details. Let's talk about some big e-commerce companies. Fine, let's talk about Amazon and Flipkart. Generally, we all have a trust on these companies. Fine, we all have a trust on these companies like Amazon and Flipkart. That's why whenever we shop something from these websites, we have a habit of saving our card details on the website only. Fine, it is just because these companies are trusted and they are not misusing our data. Whereas we have some other websites where if we save our information, then there's a possibility that they can misuse that data also. Fine, so it means whenever you are doing something on any online platform, you have to be sure yourself that whether that website will use your data properly or not. Well, in each of these cases, there is a consent that whether this information can be further exploited or not. Fine, and for that we must have to use this thing, that is privacy of data. Fine, now let's discuss about this term privacy once again. Privacy is the protection of personal information given online. This term privacy is available everywhere, whether you are using your social networking sites such as Facebook or Instagram, or you are just simply sharing your data by using any sharing app. Now we have to understand that how we can safeguard us, or how we can safeguard our private details. How to safeguard your privacy? Well, to ensure that user privacy is not compromised, we must have to follow these steps. First, the merchant or the seller must clearly state about how the user data will be used in the terms of conditions of this site. Fine. If in case in the terms and condition of that website they are saying that they will use your data for the further query or further inquiry, that's it. That's fine. It means they are claiming that they will use your data. But if they are not showing anything about your data and then they are using your data, then it's a problem for us. Next we have the merchant or seller must ensure that the user has gone through the terms and conditions given on its site prior to making any transaction. When generally you might have found that whenever we make any transaction, generally these sites ask us to perform some kind of verifications, and these verifications are just to check our privacy and our account credentiality. Next we have a merchant must assure the user about data safety by implementing proper data safety and security measures. such as HTTP protocols and other security mechanisms to save our data from hackers. Well, if you are using any website with this HTTPS protocol, it means your data is safe and encrypted and a hacker cannot hack your data, or if they will hack it, then they will not be able to translate that data into the normal form. Next we have the user must go through the terms and conditions of the seller or merchant site before providing any sensitive information, and make sure that the site is safe site by checking HTTPS protocols and padlocks. Well, now whenever you are visiting to any e-commerce website, it is must for you to check whether that website is a genuine website or not, or whether they are using this HTTPS protocol or not. So for that you must have to check their URL at least twice or thrice. Along with that, you also have to check about their selling history or their past products which they have sold on internet. And for that, first you have to search about these companies on internet, and then only you have to use them. Now let's take an example. On daily basis, you might have seen that we receive so many links with multiple offers and discounts. Well, most of these links are fake links. Fine, it means whatever link that we receive in our WhatsApp, in our message, these links are not actually the original links of these websites. These are some fake pages and some fake links. If we shop through these fake links, it means we are handing our data to the hackers, and it is a possibility that that hacker can misuse our data, or they can use that information against us. Fine. So we have to be very specific about these websites, and we have to check about their URLs at least twice or thrice. Frauds. Now, in this online markets or in e-commerce, or if we just talk about internet, then there are so many frauds which are available, and all these frauds which are there on internet, these are termed as some online frauds. Fine. And online fraud may occur in many forms. Fine. It means there are so many possibilities of these online frauds, and they can occur in various ways. The first is non-delivered goods. Generally, you might have found that when we shop through any new website or any new company, if that website is real or authentic, then they will deliver your goods on time. But if you are shopping through any fake site or any unauthenticated site, then sometimes after the completion of online payment, they will never deliver your product. It means you will perform everything, but the website will not return you your money, or they will not return you, or they will not deliver your goods. Then second is non-existent companies. Sometimes we get some offers or some deals with some companies which are not actually available there. These are some fake links or some fake mails which are given to us so that we can find them as an authentic one, and then we shop with them. Next is information stealing or stealing information. Well, there are some websites available in the market. These websites are working as a genuine website. It means everything on that website will be genuine. They will deliver your products also. These companies will be some authentic companies, but these companies will steal your information, and then they can sell your information in the black market. Next is fraudulent payment. Fine, it is fraudulent payments. Well, whenever we are making payments through these websites, we have to be very sure about that particular seller, about that payment gateway which we are using, and about that website through which you are shopping that particular thing. Sometimes things are authentic, but the payment gateway that we use for performing transactions, these are not real payment gateways. So we have to check at least twice or thrice that the payment gateway which you are using is the authentic one or not. And there's a very simple thing that we have to do for checking the payment gateways. If in case you are receiving a OTP while you are performing any transaction, then it means that payment gateway is the authentic one. But if you are not receiving any OTP and that website is directly asking you to insert your PIN number or other important details, in that case that payment gateway can be a fraudulent gateway also. And generally this fraudulent payments are easy to done with the UPI IDs. So now with this topic we are finishing this class. In our next class we have to discuss about this term fraud in detail. Along with that we have to discuss about various ethics and rules which are available there on internet. Thanks for watching this video. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep learning and keep supporting us. And one more important thing. For today you don't have to write anything from this video.